Hi, Joe Coffey here for PremierGuitar.com. We're in Nashville for Summer NAMM '08, checking out new stuff from Blueberry Guitars. I've got Danny Fonfetter with me here. Danny, how you doing?
Excellent. How you doing?
Good. I'm excited about some of the stuff you brought here. There are very few innovations left in guitar making, so they say, but I think you've got a couple, and so we're going to look at them here. First of all, tell me about your guitars. It's a completely different thing, even from a glance. You can see this isn't your ordinary guitar.
Well, the idea behind these guitars came about in a very strange manner. I was a businessman. I'm still a businessman, but I was traveling to Bali on vacation, and I usually travel with a guitar just as something to accompany me. And I'd left my guitar in a hotel room in Hong Kong, so I figured I'd buy a guitar in Bali as soon as I got there, but there was no good music store on the whole island, and in fact they'd never made a guitar, or most people in that island had never seen a guitar. So I found a very cheap, low-quality guitar there that was losing its tune in the taxi cab. And as I was looking out the window, I see hundreds of stores selling hand-carved sculptures, which is part of the Balinese tradition. And I saw all these clans of Balinese woodcarvers on the steps chiseling away, which is part of what they do. And a little light bulb went off in my head. I said, these guys can build me a guitar. So I pulled over, I asked my taxi driver to find the best wood carving shop in the place. I showed him the guitar I'd bought. We sawed it open, and we took a look, and he said, yeah, I can build this. So I said, I'll be back in 2 months, and please build me something and put all your crazy sculptures on it. So I came back 2 months later, and he'd given me a big block of wood in the shape of a guitar, but with beautifully carved ornate figures all over it. And then I realized this could become a business. So I went back to Montreal, started looking for a luthier. At that point, I didn't even know the word luthier, but apparently it's someone who knows how to build guitars. So I went to the internet. I found a partner called George Morris, who runs a school called Vermont Instruments, and he's been teaching people to build guitars in his school for about 25 years. Got a lot of experience, and him and his wife, coincidentally, had been to Bali in the 90s because his wife is an artist. So he immediately understood what I was talking about with the wood carvers. We started a three-way partnership between myself, the head of the wood carving clan, Wayantugis, and George. George moved to Bali. We invested heavily in building up a workshop in this little community, and we trained them to build hand-carved, handmade guitars from scratch. And this is where we've got them.
I'm going to stand on this side.
Okay.
Take me through some of these.
Well, in the beginning, they started with simpler figures. This is what we call the Celtic lion, and the Celtic lion is a figure that is, of course, Celtic, but they could relate to it because there was a Bali tiger. And this is all hand-carved out of a single chunk of ebony. This is all African ebony as well. They used the inlay before we started experimenting with mother of pearl. They started using a wood called jackwood, which is a very strong wood that was used in Balinese furniture. And here you could see the figure of two lions facing each other. In the back, you can see a very simple Balinese, not Balinese, Celtic design, which is all hand-carved using Balinese chisels. And this is a cutaway dreadnought guitar. The top carving is something that came much later. George Morris, our luthier, originally was very wary of cutting onto the top of a guitar because they're traditionally only spruce and cedar, which are very soft woods. After 2 to 3 years, our top carvers started experimenting with carving into the tops of woods, and based on their skill and the unique chisels they use, they were able to do it without hurting the structural integrity of the guitar, and in fact opening up the woods on the top, which had never been done before, and it causes the guitar to resonate very clearly, because the more you have grooves and indentations on the surface of the guitar, the more the wood can open up and you can hear clearly.
And that's what's tripping me out. I mean, it looks good, but we're getting into like tone shaping with this too. That's really cool. Go ahead, play it again.
Well, it's just this is an open chord, and this is an early model Blueberry guitar before we've got into bigger intricacies and more experimental projects. If you look inside this guitar, you can see the label. There's a thumbprint of the carver half on and half off the label, and there's the serial number also. You can see every serial number relates specifically to the guitar because every Blueberry guitar is completely different. So we've got the carver's personal touch on this guitar, and an artist that's interested in individuality and a beautiful sound. We use the finest woods that George could find. George, our luthier, has been in the business for a very long time, and he knows how to select fine woods. What we've got here looks like Tasmanian blackwood, and ebony strip, a Canadian cedar top, African ebony, and jackwood.
Let's talk about the decorative carved top over here and how it affects tone, because this is I mean, this is really intricate, but it's not perfect. It's, you know, it's not CNC perfect. If you look close, you'll see the lines aren't quite matching up, but that's actually pretty cool if you ask me.
We haven't, well, actually, this is all experimentation for us, but what we found when we were top carving on our other guitars, just decoratively, is that it did open up the sound a lot and make it resonate well. And then the concept came about 3 to 4 weeks ago that if we can do grooves against the grain, we don't believe that CNC machines can do anything like this work, because they need a human touch to figure out
If there's a bend in the grain.
Yeah, it has to be done with a human touch. We don't believe, and actually in Blueberry there's no computers or even places to plug in the computers in our Bally workshop. But what we've done is we've cut about 1,500 grooves, I was counting them this morning, on the front and back, and this really opens up the wood and allows it to resonate clearer than I've ever heard a guitar resonate. So if you just take a look, do one clean strum.
Really full.
Very full, very loud for a relatively small guitar. This is a grand concert model.
Quite a lot of sustain.
It's got a huge sustain. It just keeps going and going. And we've had musicians here yesterday seeing it for the first time, and we couldn't get rid of them. They would stay for 40 minutes and not stop playing. And we really think that in the history of guitars, there hasn't been an innovation like this in a very, very long time, just in this level of innovation.
Almost forgot.
Here's
Can we
something
talk
else.
about this? I know it's patent pending,
Well,
but
they're
we
both
can
patent
show.
pending,
Okay.
the top carving here and this. But what we've done is we've carved grooves on 3, 5, 7, 9. And what this does is it allows the player to become intimate with the fretboard, so he could really just play quickly and feel exactly where he is. And of course, if he's drunk, it helps.
That's cool. That makes a lot of sense. You know, you don't have to look; you feel it. All right, let's look at this one too before we go. This is the Mac Daddy, right?
This is what we're going to call the Blueberry Singular Masterpiece. What we've got on our Masterpiece series guitars, which usually take about 3 to 4 months to build, is a hand-painted carved ebony top. This was carved out of a single chunk of ebony, carved down and then stained and painted with matching mother of pearl inlay, going all the way down the fretboard. The mother of pearl goes all the way around the rosette, very detailed. The carvings on the top match the mother of pearl. This is East Indian rosewood. We've got carvings all around the sides. And then here you've got something that can leave a lot of people speechless, is a very colorful inlaid mother of pearl. And this took 4 months to build.
When I was looking at these earlier, I was trying to figure out, is this poly? Is this nitro? Talk about the finish.
This is a special finish. It's called True Oil, and it's used for guns. It's gun stock finish. Originally, when we were experimenting with the carvings, since guitars never had carvings traditionally on the wood, we couldn't figure out which finish to use, and it was pooling up inside the carvings. And then it came to George that we should be using gun stock finish, which is similar to a French polish, but it's all applied by hand. There's probably 20 coats of this on the guitar, and it's applied at different stages of the carvings. And it's just the perfect finish for us. It's not very, very sparkly like a candy apple, but just perfect for our look. And it brings out the sound of the guitar, doesn't crack, and it doesn't get damaged by alcohol or other
Danny,
musicians would have, yeah.
Danny, if people want to find out more about Blueberry guitars, where can they go online?
www.blueberryguitars.com.
All right, there you have it. Blueberry Guitars. We're at Summer NAMM 08 in Nashville. I'm Joe Coffey, and you're tuned in to PremierGuitar.com.